Hey everybody, welcome to Lost Light and Laughter, an uplifting show about laughter after tragedy. I'm your host, Michelle A. If you're ready for some inspiration and laughter in your life, you've tuned in to the right show.
It's time to show love, everybody, show love one time. Feel me strong enough to fight my battles. I know he'll never give me more than I can handle.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Lost Light and Laughter. I'm your host, Michelle A. And today we have Prudence McDaniel on the show with us today. Prudence, thank you so much for being here. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on the show, Michelle.
Absolutely.
It's really an honor to be here.
Yes, I'm super excited.
I am a College Station transplant from Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
I've been here 21 years, and I moved down here to join the Marian Anderson String Quartet. I'm the cellist of the quartet, and in September, we will be celebrating our 37th year.
37 years.
37th anniversary. And it's important to understand that we were groundbreakers because we were the first all-black string quartet, a classical chamber music ensemble to win a major international competition.
Nice.
And we are named for Marian Anderson, the great contralto, because she personally gave us permission to carry her name into the 21st century.
I love it.
So that's a little bit of how I got here. As I said, I'm a professional cellist, and I'm here on the show basically because of just my life's journey.
Yeah.
And what all it has brought me, and yet all that it has taken. Yeah. And so I am just, I don't know. It's almost hard to know where to start.
Well, tell the audience a little bit. Tell us, what's the significant loss that you've experienced?
I was really thinking about it, and it's kind of a hard question because to me at this point, loss is a part of the balance.
Yeah.
I was thinking about, just thinking about questions that I could answer. Right. And one of the questions that came up was, how do you honor your grief? How do you honor your loss? Yeah. And where does joy fit in? And I found myself thinking about it deeply and realizing that joy is what honors grief and loss. Right. Particularly it honors loss. Because especially when you're dealing with the loss of another life.
Right.
Your joy is honoring the beauty and the fun and the joy that you had with that person.
Yeah. The growth that came with it.
Yes. And so it's the joy, honestly, honors the loss by saying I had something that was so special in my life is worth grieving for.
Yeah. What was it?
Throughout the course, there have been so many different things, but most recently, the hardest ones were in my 40s, 20 years ago. In that one decade, 40 to 50, I lost my father to a very random freak accident when he was trying to get his car fixed.
Wow.
There was an explosion at the shop. A static electric spark ignited the fumes in the shop. And a wave of flames rolled over the roof of the garage and right down on top of him.
Oh my word, I'm so sorry.
It was about as random as it gets.
Yeah.
And he and the mechanic ended up passing from their injuries. But he held on. The doctors called my sister and I, and we were in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
And we got in the car and we drove 10.5 hours straight to get to the hospital. And we had a chance to sit with him and speak with him individually. We gave each other private time to be with him.
Right.
And the most powerful part of that was realizing that we each had a chance to say goodbye. And that given his injuries, it was amazing. We could actually tell that he was present.
Okay.
But we were both in the room after we had prayed.
Yeah.
And even though my sister and I felt it differently, we were both aware at the exact same moment the spirit left.
Wow. I've heard people talk about that. Like they can tell the difference when a person transitions. And it is not just the loss of breath. You can tell
Yes.
that there's a difference. And
Yes.
in the air, the atmosphere is different.
Oh yes. She said that she experienced it by seeing his spirit leave the room.
Wow.
I experienced it by feeling the already cold temperature drop even further.
Wow.
His presence created warmth.
That was really good. Like I've never heard this angle, but this is real. I love it. Yeah.
So that was loss number one, was Dad.
Yeah.
Then a few years later, my brother-in-law's father passed. Yeah. And that was at his funeral. That's when we found out that the two of them had served Meals on Wheels.
Wow.
And they would go, after serving Meals on Wheels together, they would go and have lunch. Twice a month.
Yeah.
Understand, my sister and brother-in-law were married for 26 years. We didn't know that until year 24.
Yeah. They were buddies.
They were buddies, but they
Yeah.
never told anybody. And it was just a thing of, I think, men of that generation.
Right.
The service that they provide.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But I thought that was just so cool.
They were each other's safe person, you know? Like,
Yeah. And they were both really quiet men.
yeah.
And so it was so funny because my mom and my brother-in-law's mom, when that came out, they just sat there looking at each other like, did you know that? Did you know?
I know. They didn't even invite us. You know? Like, wait a minute.
Oh, it was just, yeah.
That's probably what they were thinking.
It was so funny. You know? But then shortly after, he passed from colorectal cancer. And it was only a year and a half later that my sister, no, it wasn't even a year and a half later, it was 6 months later, my sister was diagnosed with it. And so she passed in 2008 at the age of 28. No, I'm not 28, what am I saying? She was 48.
48. Oh, wow.
And had 3
So
children.
young.
The youngest was 10. And so they were 10, 14, and 18. And she was only 2 years older than me.
Yeah.
So that was very challenging because you know how you might have that sibling who's just they're your person. My sister was my person.
Yeah.
And so even though, you know, I loved Dad and I loved Mom tremendously, and we were close.
Yeah.
You know, With my sister, it was next level.
You wanted more time. More time.
Absolutely wanted a lot more time.
Yeah.
It just planned and expected that it would be there.
Yeah.
And suddenly my sister was the second one of the three that was gone. And when she told me that she was terminal and that they only expected that she would live probably max 24 more months, there's the little voice in the back of my head that I always call my God voice.
Yeah.
It said, and Mom will be gone 24 months after that. And my mom actually, she made it 26 months.
You know, I hear of stories where God would really speak to a person, almost like preparation, that this is gonna come. And even when you hear it, you can't prepare for it because you don't want it to happen. You know, you're like trying. So let's talk about the light. Let's talk about your relationship with God and, how, when He informed you that this was coming, what was your response? Like, how did you wrap your mind around all of this? Like, God, wait, no. Yeah.
Well, when my sister told me, the first thing I did when I came home from that visit was I found myself a therapist.
Yeah, that's good.
Because she and I, even though she was my person and in so many ways I was hers, I was her baby sister.
Yeah.
One of my earliest memories was literally I was maybe 2, and we lived in an apartment, and we were walking up to Vacation Bible School with the babysitter. And I remember the babysitter was the farthest away from the traffic. Yeah. And I was next to the traffic, and my 4-year-old sister switched places with me.
Wow.
And held my hand.
She's like, I'm gonna protect my sister.
Yeah. And that was her, as I found out as we were kind of hashing out some of the problems we had been having, because the whole sibling thing.
Yeah.
I was the little sister, and I just loved to annoy her by telling her, "You're not 2 years older than me. You're only a year and 49 weeks." Because that's 3-week difference in the year.
Yeah.
Because our birthdays fell on the same day, 3 weeks apart.
Wow.
In the same month.
Yeah.
So.
You're not the mama.
Yeah, exactly. It was so funny. Yeah. But she had this idea of me, of being the baby. And there's a picture of me in an Easter outfit. As we call it, the little sailor suit.
Yeah.
And this is a funny aside, but as I was going through pictures with my mom, I found this really old photo.
Yeah.
And it was of a little girl that had on this little blue sailor suit, and it was almost identical. I was like, who is that? And it was my mom at the same age as me in the picture of me in the little blue sailor suit.
Yeah, she held on to it.
She held on to it. Wow. And what struck me, as I was having this conversation with my sister, was that was how she saw me. In my 30s.
Yeah.
In my late 30s.
You're her sister. That's my sister.
My baby.
That's my
baby sister. Yeah. And that was where a lot of our conflict came from, because I was like, at what point are you going to see me as a capable adult?
Never!
and thinking about what you carry with you in terms of how your family sees you. You don't know that that's how they see you. I mean, with my mom, I understood it, because when I was in college and I was like, are you ever going to lighten up on the reins a little bit?
Yeah.
And she's like, you are always going to be my baby.
Yeah,
You know,
I get that with the moms. I get it.
Yes. Being a mom.
Yes.
Yeah, so I understood it with mom,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I understood it with dad. And actually my dad was much freer. I remember I was having a hard time with some stuff in my 20s, and I got a call from my dad.
Mhm.
And that was unusual because he wasn't a big phone person. He said, "Yeah, well, your mom told me you're kind of struggling with this issue." And it was at that moment in that conversation that I realized how much of my life I was living trying to live up to the standards
Right.
and lives in a way that it wasn't even so much about dishonoring my parents, but I was holding myself back from really living my life as an adult because I didn't want to disappoint them,
Right.
you know, or I was afraid actually of the judgment.
I get it.
You know, so the whole thing about growing up and developing your relationship, your adult relationships within the family structure,
Yeah.
it has real deep ramifications
Yeah.
for how you experience your grief, where it really comes from. What are you truly missing?
Yes. So
And
when you had the conversation with your sister,
Mhm.
you decided to see a therapist.
Yes.
How did that, did you talk about, okay, God informed me that this is what's going to happen? Like, how did that relationship with God, how did that formulate to get some type of, I don't even know if I can say healing or like acceptance that this is going to happen?
I accepted it.
Okay.
I think because my first experience with death was when I was 6 or 7,
Okay.
and my great aunt passed.
Yeah.
And then when I was 10, my favorite aunt passed.
Right.
My mom, now if we would reference the family structure, like Star Trek, my mom was 3 of 6. The whole work.
Right. I know.
Well, the aunt that passed was 5 of 6, and she was the one who was musically inclined. She was the one that was most like me. People that
Right.
and so
Mirror.
that was when I said that I just think of loss at this stage as just being a part of the balance of life. It was the loss of my aunt where I had the first real deep visceral reaction to loss and really understood the true pain of it. So having experienced loss, grandma when I was in my teens, grandpa when I was in my 20s, I've had an opportunity when it happened.
Right.
And even classmates in high school.
Right.
One in middle school committed suicide. 2 in high school. Well, there was another one. He was in my sister's class just before senior year, committed suicide. Another one had a party on her grandparents' farm, and the tractor rolled over, threw everyone else off, but pinned her and killed her.
My goodness.
And it just
That's a lot of death.
Yeah.
But how do you reconcile that with your faith and
because I grew up in the church. Started out Baptist, left the Baptists because they wouldn't baptize us till we were 13, and being from that Cold War era and having had the air raid drills where you had to get underneath your desk, and even at 5 and 6 years old, knowing that if they dropped an atomic bomb and it was close enough for us to have an air raid drill, we weren't going to survive anyway.
Right.
And so,
It's true.
And so we switched my sister and I talked to our parents, and we switched to being Presbyterian so we could be baptized.
Right.
Didn't have to wait because we knew there was no guarantee we'd
Yes.
make it to
Yes.
13. So God's always been in my life.
Mm-hmm.
God's always been the rock of my spiritual life and my faith.
Yeah.
I've known, I didn't recognize it at the time, but when I look back, I know I was called.
Mm-hmm.
God had called me,
Yeah.
and I knew that my purpose was to make people feel better.
Mm-hmm.
I was an earth mother at 8 years old, because everybody from my classmates to adults
Yeah.
would, if there was a silent, quiet space,
Uh-huh.
I could feel their distress.
Mm-hmm.
I could see through the facade.
Right.
And because I was just there, and I would ask them, "Are you okay?"
Yeah. You have to give
Yeah.
the mercy and praise. Do you give good hugs? Did anyone ever tell you that?
Yes.
I can imagine. I think that's what it is too.
Yep. Yep. I was the kid in the house
Uh-huh.
that was the eight hugs a day, and if it could have been 32 hugs a day.
That's all right. We need
Yeah.
you in our lives, okay?
Yep.
Everyone should have you.
So yes, everyone does tell me about my hugs. I always have. But I knew, but music was the way I was able to communicate. Because at 8 years old, when you're feeling people's grief profoundly, and it's all around you for whatever various reasons, you don't have the words to be able to express that in that conversation with them. But for me, with my talent and my ability, I was able to communicate all those deeper emotions that people didn't even want to address out loud.
Yeah.
And so that was my calling, was to be a healer.
Right. And it does help. Music does it really soothes me. Even last night, my brain was pulsating. And I just needed something to just unwind and just music.
Yes. And as I got older, and I never felt like I was very good with words. I never felt like I was good with words. But as I got older, and especially in my 20s, people started to tell me, you should think about life coaching. You should think about being a speaker. You should think about being a writer. And I was just like, nah, I'm a cellist. And it's interesting because then as I went through what I went through within my 40s, the loss of dad, the loss of my sister, and 2 years later, the loss of my mother. And interestingly enough, we don't tend to talk about how we lose people. And with my dad, it being a horrific accident. With my sister, it was cancer. With my mom, it was old age. But she had lived decades with physical issues. She was a 100% disabled veteran. Had an injury when she was in the Navy that still upsets me. Could have been prevented, but she was ordered to move a desk, but they forgot to tell her that it had been on a naval ship and had steel girders in the bottom. And so she tried to move the desk herself because she had a lot of natural strength, and it ruptured a disc in her back. And 3 surgeries later, the last one was when I was 6. That one nearly killed her. They were going to sever the nerves to her, the motor nerves to her legs. And because she had been a double major, pre-med and English, she said she wanted to watch So they set it up so she was leaning over the table, and when they gave her the epidural, it started to go to her brain. And they had to reverse it because she yelled at them a wrong direction, and they caught it, and then they were able to do that.
Wow.
And then she saw, when they finished opening her up, she saw the problem before the doctor did. The doctor was getting ready to cut those nerves, and she saw the scar tissue and said, I'm not going to be in a wheelchair
Right.
when the pressure is on the pain nerves, not the motor nerves.
Right.
So I'm not going to be still in this much pain and immobile.
Yeah.
And so she just lived with it. And, that taught me so much. That really taught me so much about how you live with pain.
Yeah. Wow.
Both physical and emotional.
All right. So talk to us about the first time you remember laughing. I mean, you've had a series of losses with your dad, your sister, your mom. I know that you decided to see a therapist as well too. Was there a moment in your life where you just felt like I feel like my old self again, like I'm laughing, I'm enjoying life? Like how did that work for you?
I was sitting in the kitchen with a very, very dear friend. And do you remember those newspapers that used to be in the stands, like the Enquirer and
the
all,
Times and all that.
all of those stupid ones that had the most outrageous photos and the most ridiculous stories in them?
Yeah.
The picture on the cover was about a story about Alligator Man. It's like a hybrid,
Kind of like
a man who was a hybrid man alligator,
Yes.
and it was some wild tale about this creature being a space alien.
I remember that back in the day when that was a real UFOs was like it was all I think it was like a decade of just UFO stories and Sasquatch. What is it? Bigfoot?
Sasquatch,
yeah, like I remember that. Yes.
Yes. Well, I was sitting there at the dining room table. It's late at night, and she hands me this thing and says, "You gotta go to page whatever and read this story." And I just sat there looking at the words in disbelief.
Yeah.
And then I just started to laugh.
Yeah.
I just started to laugh at how absolutely ridiculously stupid it was.
I believe it.
And then the thought that there are actually people on this planet that would believe this. And that was hilarious to me.
They used to have clubs where they would go out and try to hunt down these people or animals or whatever you want to call it, you know?
Yep.
Yes.
And that, after my mom passed, that was just, it seemed like it was just the perfect remedy to jumpstart me.
Yeah.
And that was really not even very many months after she had passed.
Yeah.
It was then that time was filled with laughter and it was filled with tears.
Yeah.
But I think that's where I began to understand having lost them. I was the last one standing.
Yeah.
And not being married, not having children, there were times it really felt very alone.
Yeah.
But that's when I began to understand how joy really is always connected through memory.
Yeah.
And that loss is honoring that joy, and joy is honoring that loss.
And the memories that were there, they don't end at death.
They don't.
You know.
They don't. And that's actually what stepped me into it helped to propel me even further in the spiritual shift that had been growing since I was in my 20s. Because during that time, growing up in the Presbyterian church, I was attending a church, and the minister asked me after multiple conversations if I would become an elder. And he was very clear. He said, you really need to think about this, because once you take those vows, you will feel a shift. And at that time, I had been seriously considering converting to Judaism.
Really?
That had been something that since I went to my friend's bat mitzvah when we were 13 in middle school, and the first time I had attended any kind of a Jewish service, it was the music that got me.
Really?
Yeah. Everyone was like, oh, you want to be Jewish because you want the presents and this and that. And I just remember looking at them like, have you lost your mind? That's not what this is about. Okay, maybe some kids are like that, but that's not me. What got me was how powerfully I felt, how ancient the word was. And I think that and for me that was what was the pull. And so I was talking to my minister, and I was talking to the rabbi at the Reformed church, the Reformed synagogue, at the same time.
Wow.
Trying to make this momentous decision that was going to shape how I lived the rest of my life.
Right.
And I came to understand that the Presbyterian path was really my lane. But it wasn't fully my lane. And I began to teach an adult student. And after all of our conversations for 3 years about our spirituality, he broke down finally and he said, I don't do this, but I have to ask you, would you like to go to church with me?
Oh, wow.
And I said, yeah, sure, okay, I would. And I walked in the door, and it was unity. Not Unitarian Universalist, it was unity.
Yeah, you felt love.
I did.
Yeah.
And after listening to the sermon, really coming to understand what the foundation of the teaching is, I said, oh wow, I'm home. This is what I've been looking for 40 years.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
You know, God, since I was younger than 8, God has been my rock. God has always said, I've put my stamp on you. I've called you. And I accepted the call. And God has always said, I got you.
Yeah.
I don't promise it's going to be easy,
I know
but
that's
I
right.
got you.
Yeah.
And so because of that, after that happened, and after Mom passed, 2 years later, my aunt, who had become my surrogate mom, she passed. And then 2 years after that, I came down with cancer myself.
Wow.
And the people in this community, it was, and when I say, it wasn't just the community here in Bryan College Station that rallied around me and donated to my GoFundMe, because Blue Cross Blue Shield, I found
insurance.
out
I know
a year and a half later messed up and told me that I had to go all the way to Houston to get my treatments when my doctor's office was a minute from my door. And they said, well, you've had 2 treatments at this out of network. office, so we may be billing you for $30,000 for these treatments. And I was like, oh, where's that gonna come from?
Right. No, I
So-
get it.
So I did a GoFundMe, and people stepped up, and I had people that saw it and had been kind of silently following me on Facebook that were former students that I hadn't taught or seen or spoke to in, at that point, 25 years.
Wow.
And now adults that donated and just sharing with me how I had touched their lives. And it was so powerful for me because part of the cancer journey for me, part of the reason I know it came was because I was feeling like, what was my life really worth now? I didn't feel like I made that much of a difference. And
so where are you, like, how are you feeling now? Like, what was the turning point where you just like, I see my life, I see how much it matters?
it was that moment when I started getting all of the messages with the donations, and people were just, it was such an overwhelming outpouring of love. And I was journaling a lot. And during that first week of that, I had this realization that God was telling me through all of these voices that had been present in my life. I love you.
Yes, yes. And sometimes we are going through things and just listening to your story, like back to back hits, it's just like, oh my goodness, it's just so much. And you feel the weight, you feel the pressure. And then this happens. And you're just like, why, God, why? But then you see what comes out of it.
You know, it's funny because I never asked why.
You never asked why?
No.
I'm like, why, God?
No,
That's my first
no.
thing.
I'm just saying, this actually leads to, I think, one of the most profound conversations I have ever had. When I reached out to some women in the community that I knew had breast cancer, they were trying to hook me up, and they were recommending other friends that they knew and giving me phone numbers. And so I was calling some of these women, and we had conversations. And most of the advice that I was getting was, you gotta fight, you gotta fight. It's your life, you gotta fight for your life. And for some reason, for me, that felt wrong.
Really?
Yes, it felt wrong. It was so adversarial. I felt like, okay, maybe it's not here to kill me.
That's a different perspective.
And so the 2 nights before the surgery, because I had to go into the hospital, because I had blood clots, I did not know that when you get cancer, if you have a genetic or biological propensity for developing blood clots, and I did, it was hereditary, cancer can trigger them. Yeah. And so for the second time in my life, I found out because I couldn't breathe. And I took myself to the hospital, to the emergency room, and they did the contrast dye CT scan and said, oh, okay, basically you've got about a quarter of one lung left.
That's what I was going to ask you if it's going to your lungs.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. The first time I had it back in 2004, they didn't tell me that they don't show up on x-rays. You have to do the contrast dye CT.
Right.
So,
and medical technology has advanced tremendously now. So
yes. So, so here I am and I'm now on blood thinners. And they didn't want to do the biopsy because I would have to come off of, right. And I said, I will, after what happened with my sister, that, she had doctors that weren't listening to her. And she just got to a point where she said, I'm done. I'm not even going to go. And the only reason they found it when they did was because my brother-in-law made the doctor's appointment.
Wow.
And so, I felt like she was watching over me and saying, advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and I went off the blood thinner for the 12 hours and had the biopsy done. And a week later, they came back and it was positive. But I said we poked the bear, and it showed its fangs and claws because it was triple negative breast cancer, which hits Black women and women of color. And at that time in 2016, they, when I looked at the survival rates of the other types of breast cancer versus triple negative, the other types had been researched, and it was, it was literally 98% survival rate for the others. It was 77%, with the threat that it could come back as bone, lung, or brain. And if it came back within 3 years, your survival rate dropped from 77 to under 30%. And so that's what I was facing.
Yeah.
And I just kept thinking about that, and I said, okay. So I've talked to everybody, and the approach to my mindset feels wrong. So I sat down with a notepad and pencil, and I had a conversation. And 3 hours later, I don't remember most of the questions I asked, but I got the most important answers of my life, which were, the question was, why are you here? Why are you here? The first answer was, because you invited me. You asked me to come.
I love this.
And
Okay.
I was like, alrighty. And then I started to look at what I now understood about how cancer forms. I looked at what I was doing in my life. I looked at the fact that I had been super, uber depressed because I had been scammed. I lost my savings.
Right.
And I was feeling like such a failure in life, and so many things.
Yeah.
I had been in it was a brief relationship, but that ended. And it was just, it just felt like, really?
Yeah.
And so I hadn't been in a good place for like leading up to 6-7 months before it showed up.
So you believe all of that contributed?
Oh, I know it did. I know it did. And because just being in low vibration, to just not, it just doesn't work for health and well-being. And so I knew it. And I said, okay, so I invited you. I acknowledge my own culpability here. And then 3 hours worth of questions, 3 hours worth of answers, that little bits and pieces pop up here and there. But it was the final answer that summed it all up. Said, I'm not here to kill you. I'm not here to take you out. I'm here to be your protector, your guardian, because you've been asking God for your life to change in different specific ways.
Right.
And every single time you have the opportunity to step off the wheel, you run harder. So, and I was that person. I mentioned it about the phone call I had with my dad in my 20s, of caring about other people's opinions so much. And so the cancer said, I'm here. I'm just going to sit right here on your shoulder. And this is going to give you the space and the time you need to sit and think and figure out what you really want. And if the changes you need to make are too hard, I'm here to take you home.
That is heavy. It's enlightening, it's heavy, it's all these emotions all at once.
Yes.
Okay? I'm taking it in right now. Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, how are you now?
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. In March, I finally was able to take one of the newest, strongest tests for detecting cancer. And I am now 7 years clear.
Yay!
So
I love
officially in full remission.
Hey, I love it.
I felt like I had always referenced that in these intervening years, I felt like I had the sort of Damocles hanging over my head. And at the 3-year mark, it was like, okay, well, it moved off to the side, but it was still there. And then at the 5-year mark, where I was officially, would have been, if I had been tested and it was negative, then they would have officially declared me in remission, full remission. But all of the stuff that was happening with the COVID and just how life was shaping, that test never happened. So I had the opportunity to get that test. And so in March, I found out that it had not only run 20 miles down the road. When I read those results saying 0% cancer DNA, the first thought was, thank you, Jesus.
I'm excited just listening to this. I'm like,
thank you, Jesus. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
this is going to bless some. I know people are going to be blessed by this.
And
This is so
as
good.
I raised my eyes upward, I was in the house, but I saw clear blue sky, and I looked down the road to where I usually perceive the sword as being, and it dissolved and was blown away with the wind. And I realized certain issues and problems that I had moving forward, that was my sticking point. The not knowing if it was still there.
So, do you have any advice for anyone that may have experienced back-to-back losses? You know, then their body attack. You know, just it feels like they just keep getting beat up. Like life just keeps handing them something. What advice do you have for them?
Roll with the punches.
All right.
And
Yeah.
don't be passive. It's like dodgeball.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, you're going to get hit. You're going to get hit with a lot of them.
Yeah.
But pick up and throw some of them back.
Come on. That's what we need to hear. We're not gonna be passive, okay? We fighting back, okay?
That's right.
Throw it if you want to. It's coming back. Like,
Exactly.
oh my goodness. I love this. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I'm so full right now. When I'm done, I'm like, I gotta call my husband, like, babe, this was so good. Where can they find you? If someone wants to reach out and connect with you because they have a similar background, similar story, they need some encouragement, how can they find you?
You can find me online at pmcreativelife.solutions.
All right.
And PM Creative Life, you know, my whole life has been creative with the whole aspect of music. But life itself, you cannot grow in life without using your creativity.
That's right. It's a gift. Creativity is a gift from God. Yes.
It is, and it's a gift that absolutely everybody has.
Yes.
No matter what you do, if you have a problem that pops up and you solve it,
Yeah.
You have just used your creativity. So don't ever tell yourself you're not creative.
Yes, I feel like that's the rhythm of life. Like when you talk about music, that's how I see creativity. That's how I see the will of God, like just flowing with a rhythm. Some people call it the will, but I just see it as a rhythm.
It
It's
is.
just, I love it. Thank you so much for coming on the show, sharing your story. And you guys, don't forget to connect with her. I will leave her contact information in the description box so you guys can connect if you are interested.
Yes.
And thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Lost, Light, and Laughter. And remember, when you're laughing, you're healing. Bye.
Bye-bye.
I'ma show love, everybody, show love one time. Feel me strong enough to fight my battles. I know he'll never give me more than I can handle. My Lord, my King, the one that I do love. He sends his love down from up above. My faith, my strength, and all that I believe in. My Father, the Holy One, who I call friend. All of my praise.